Hey everybody, thank you for listening to Filling in the Gaps. Cam here. I'm here for a little bit of an announcement. We are going to be doing a Halloween-themed episode on October 28th. So if you'd like to get in on that action, you can always hit us up on social media and sort of present any of your favorite Halloween themes or scenarios to either our Discord or Reddit or Twitter, anything you'd like. And we will be compiling a list so that episode will be nice and spooktacular. We really look forward to it. Anyways, thank you guys again for listening. This is episode 24. It was a lot of fun to record, so we hope you enjoy it. Have fun.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. My name is Rich, and I'm from the heartland state of Ohio, joined as always by my good friend from the biggest and baddest state of Texas, Cameron. Cameron, anything crazy happened this week? How's your week been?
I got in a huge gunfight outside of a 7-Eleven. We don't call them 7-Elevens here in Texas.
Can't people listen to this? You can't just say things like that.
Oh, I thought that we're recording right now?
Busted.
No, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I watched a bunch of football and I read a bunch of D&D books. It's kind of like the perfect life.
Because you were like caught up now, right? You have Mordecai. You just told me you got Mordecai's the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Yeah, I actually.
Fantastic.
And I got Xanthar's Guide to Everything.
Oh, you are going to be reading for a while. For a long while.
Yeah, especially because I have the reading level of like a 5th grader, so.
So you'll probably just always be reading.
Yeah, I'm never going to not be reading. Kind of excited. It's kind of an incredible thing. No, yeah, it's been good. I also did a bunch of work on the YouTube as well. Our Filling in the Gaps YouTube.
Heyo. Because we've been behind on that for a while. But if any of you guys are primarily YouTube watchers, you can feel free to hop on to our YouTube page. You might have to sift through a bunch of people talking through filling in gaps in teeth and filling in gaps in cement. I've noticed that happens whenever I YouTube filling in the gaps. But it's there. Yeah. We promise. It's all there.
While you're there, you could take some lessons on like caulking and stuff like that, or taking care of patching holes.
Exactly.
And sheetrock. At the same time, you could be listening to our podcast, so you could be learning about D&D and stories, and also have a sweet wall with texturing.
Why not double dip? Good.
Yeah, no, it took a little bit. I don't know why it never really. It just was such a. It was a rhythm that I had to find myself to get into, and then once I found the rhythm of like how to get it up, Eggs as per usual was amazing, and he taught me some stuff about some editing that I was gonna do, so that helped out a lot. But yeah, I know a lot of people who listen specifically to podcasts only exclusively on YouTube, and so I figured to myself like that's got to be the best way for us to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it'll be cool once we get our kind of like live YouTube play stuff going. Once we do some session building stuff later on, which I still really want to do a Halloween like session builder off of either last week's episode or something new. So we've got to come up with an idea about that before the spooky season's upon us.
Yes. Yeah, my wife already has the jack-o'-lanterns out front and all that kind of stuff. She carved something into one of the jack-o'-lanterns the other day, and I was like,
oh, what was it? Was it like a spooky face, cat?
No, it was words. It was insane. I was like, you know what it said?
No, what did it say?
Shall we roll?
Let's do it. Okay, so for those guys who are new to the to Filling in the Gaps, maybe this is your first time listening, this is what Filling in the Gaps is all about. We are not a Let's Play podcast. We are a podcast where we are all about brainstorming. We know that playing and DMing week after week after week can be exhausting. Sometimes you just feel like you need an idea to spark your next session or your next game night. That's what we do. Over the next few seconds, me and Cam are going to roll, each of us, a d20, and off of those rolls, we're going to take a random theme and a random scenario and mash those into something, hopefully, you can use on your next game night. So, Cam, what color dice are you rolling today?
I have a red numbered black dice with white speckles all over it.
Ooh, I have a red dice with white letters and black speckles all over it. So I feel like we're kind of along the same theme today.
Are you joking, or is that being dead serious?
No, that's seriously what I'm rolling.
That's so crazy.
But I'm breaking the rule again of using a magic life counter dice because I reach into a bowl and I pull out the D20 I pick up. So I'm sorry, everyone. Hey, come at me.
I will say this. just a little bit of a like, while you're listening to the episode, let us know, is that the right thing to do, or is Rich a bad human being by doing that?
I've heard him a bad human being. I've heard it's not
Yeah.
random enough, but at the same time, I'm
Yeah.
not really trying to, purposely cheat. I'm shaking it in my hand, I promise.
Yeah, well, we're all shaking things in our hands if you really get down to it. Hey, Rich, let's do this thing.
All right, here we go. Of course. Of course. What do you think I rolled, sir?
A 1 or a 20?
A 1 or a 20?
I'm going to say 1.
Nope, I rolled a 20.
Again!
Yep, it's
Again!
almost like guys. This is the evidence that these dice are not fair. I'm so sorry.
No, you're legitimate. Yeah, no, this is a blasphemy, but at the same time, I'll take it. We have ourselves actually 2 that line up perfectly.
Oh, cool.
I will get those ready, but tell the fine folks at home what our dice rolls are brought to us by.
Ooh, all right, 5 folks at home and those of you who are in motor vehicles. For those of you guys who might not know, we have a fantastic sponsor. They've been with us for a while, called Libris Arcana Dice. Now, maybe you're like me, and for some reason, the only dice you can seem to find around your house are dice from Magic sets. And you think, you know what, I want to be official. I don't want people thinking that I'm a bad human being. I'd like to have some dice that I can actually use. Libris Arcana Dice has your back. What they provide is a dice sending service where every month you will get a random set of dice sent to your door, or every 3 months you'll get 3 sets of dice sent to your door. All you have to do is go to librisarcanadice.com and use our promo code FITG, and when you use that, you'll get 25% off your first order, whether it's for 1 month's set of dice or for 3 months set. And you'll get a little personalized card from us too, which is pretty sweet. So I think it's a win-win scenario all around. But Cam, what did you get? What are our rolls for this evening?
So I rolled a 6. That gives us the theme of a sandstorm brought to us by Jackie Moonshot, and you rolled a 20, which gives us the scenario of smuggling something by Ben T. And I don't think I could ever imagine 2 themes or a theme and a scenario fitting together better than a sandstorm and smuggling something.
Oh no, that sounds okay. So let me ask you this: what is in your mind when you picture either a sandstorm or smuggling something? What's going through your head right now?
I picture like ride up on horses, and it's already your adventurers have sort of been. The party itself has already been through a few different adventures, and say this is like sort of like how movies always start. It's especially like a Star Wars feel to me of like, oh look, it's our favorite hero as they come out of like this dusty area and they walk into this building and they pull down their mask and it's like, oh, there's the hero I've always known, and it's like, whew, man, that sand is just everywhere out there.
Yep.
But to me, it really it gives this idea of there is no direction because you have no idea where you're going. Because you have no bearing of any kind of which, you don't know which way is which, with the exception of like a faint hue of the sun, I guess, poking through a little bit, but it's even then it's like, it's a very difficult traversal thing.
I like that
there's a
idea
lot of
though.
mystery
Like you point that out. That there's something
at least
about
what I
the
think. What
desert,
about
and something
you?
about sandstorms that feels very vague and open. Actually, right now in my current session, my players are in kind of a desert plain, which I think I've mentioned before, and I have them filling in a map that I've given them, and as they go, I'll give them like a different tile, and they're piecing.
Are they filling in the gaps of that map?
Filling in the gaps of the maps. But that's kind of the feel. It's very sandboxy, very okay. We've got our bonus quest, but we don't know where those things are, they're doing a lot of surveillance and it feels very open. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just very different. So I think it's cool to hear you say that as well. And I agree.
I think
I
like
agree.
do you have like a bunch of tiles, I guess? Is
Yeah.
that, like you have and you just flip them over and whatever's on the other side of that tile is what's about to happen, or what?
Well, yeah. So I pre-made the map because I like little just hand drawing maps. And what I did is I just cut them into little squares. And when they move into a square, I reveal what's at the end of that. So it's either a mixture of them just moving through the squares, or sometimes I'll just cover up additional parts of the map with post-it notes, and it might be an empty square, it might be a full square. Just kind of goes from there.
I like that. I like that a lot. There's like this immersion to it, and there's also this like sort of feel to your players where they're just like, oh,
what's going to happen? Exactly. Yeah. Yep. But I agree too. I think Smuggling and Sandstorm is perfect because there's this play you can make of using the Sandstorm to your advantage, of like hiding from the whatever it is that's chasing you, trying to get what you're smuggling.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's like
I like there to be like a point A. Yeah, it's a point A, point B. It's a, it could be that you go somewhere, so you pass through the sandstorm to get to a certain thing, and then you have to come back through the sandstorm. There's a lot of different ways you can take this as well. What? Let me ask you this. So for the smuggling something side of things, I've got some ideas in my head that pop up, just from like a basic framework perspective. I had the idea of, is it like an item that a monster covets or loves or wants, or is it an item that comes from a kingdom that provides great power? Is it what direction would you take it? Would you be more monster based, or would you be more messing with like, a group or a faction?
I like the idea of both. I like the idea of a group and a faction, because I think being chased by like humanoids, like these intelligent people, means that there is that element of having to hide, having to use the environment to your advantage, not waiting up because you're being tracked by the most dangerous game. I think that something else that could be cool is knowing that there is this monster out there as well, that under the right circumstances might attack either you or the people chasing you. So there's just this additional thing your party could use, or your enemies could use against your party. Actually, in going back to that little desert thing I'm running right now, there's a purple worm that's kind of swimming through the desert, which is just this huge monstrous creature. And I've let my players know that, like, hey, if you make too much, like if you disturb too much, or if you make too many explosions or anything like that, this purple worm is going to show up, and it is just going to kill things indiscriminately. So even like the town they're staying at has to kind of keep things on the mellower side, which enemies have used to try to lure the purple worm, and my players have used to kind of either lure it away, or I hope to see them one day using it in like an ambush scenario, like to bring the purple worm on a bandit camp or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Is Kevin Bacon going to show up at any point though?
I hope so. I hope.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of experience with giant worms, and so he could easily handle that.
It'd be perfect. He's been suited for it. It's almost like he's been like in a movie about that or something.
It's almost like he's been in 3 separate movies about it. So I don't know. It's just something to think about, though, Rich. You might want to introduce a really cool NPC. Let's talk about some monsters then.
Show up.
So well, actually, what about if we just did a purple worm?
As a what? The creature?
Yeah.
I mean, I the reason I love the purple worm for the creature in a desert is that it is just it's a huge creature that's just very primal. Like it just wants to eat. So it's not like a thing where it's hunting the party for any particular reason. It's just like in a scenario where things go bad, your players could potentially lure that purple worm there. Very, very Pirates of the Caribbean style. Like, hey, I'm just going to... we're being chased, so I'm just going to lure something here that might kill us, but might also make a way for us to get away.
Yeah, I like this. You remember the episode that we did, the Egyptian tomb with the gnolls and the nagas and all that kind of stuff? You remember that stuff? Yep. I feel like this would be another one that would be pretty cool, sort of intertwined with that storyline as well.
Ooh,
in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've got that entire town of Yuan-Tis, and they're sort of overrun by this spirit naga, and then the guardian naga is like trying to, get the players to sort of, so maybe the players have like accomplished that task and they've sort of created like a solid foundation there, and now it's like, okay, now we need this thing to make us, be able to hold off the Yuan-Ti, or be able to sort of like rid ourselves of the evil curse of this town or something like that.
I like
And so
that.
your players are sent out to go grab this item, smuggle it back across the Sandstorm, and purple worm, boom.
I dig it. I dig it.
Is
I
it
like the
purple?
idea too of you on T as well, because that gives you one thing we have to talk about is how are we traversing this desert. But I know that being chased by you on T, who would maybe be riding like these large snakes, or even just you on T themselves. I like the idea of snake eyes like peering at you through the sand, or just like in the middle of the sandstorm, or maybe at night when you're setting up camp, just hearing like this rattlesnake rattle. Like I love the idea of you on T being what's pursuing you through.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's like the good humanoid type of creature, and then you can incorporate different types of other creatures, about. And then if you you said traversal, I think that from a traversal perspective, you go with the tile system, but I actually kind of like a procedurally generated tile system. Does that make sense to you at all?
What was that part? Sorry, I was reading about you on T.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. I asked if you would marry me, and so you left me hanging there.
Cam,
And so
no, of course.
You would? You would? Oh my God, it's completely illegal because I'm already married. But I'll figure that part out.
Hey, don't worry about that.
No, the thing that was exciting to me was that like I like the idea of using a map, like you said.
Yeah.
With, different grid portions of it, but make it procedural.
Ooh, okay.
Give myself as the DM less control over what happens, and so I just have a stack of tiles, and as they make their way through the X amount, whatever it may be, the desert, each tile I flip over presents them either with a boon or or a good positive thing or a negative thing, or it gives them all these different options. It has like you can have pre-created encounters built out. You can have all those different little things on each of those tiles so that you can prepare yourself and be like, okay, look at page A on the back of the tile, and it's like, oh cool, that's page A is this encounter dealing with these monsters right here or something like that.
I love
so
that.
It's like
Yep.
overworld traversal, but still giving you some randomness to it. And then I know what you're thinking probably is like, well, what if you turn over a tile and it's the place that you need to go to get the item? What my thought was, just put out enough tiles so it's like, okay, cool, we went through 15 tiles. Perfect. Now I incorporate that main final piece tile into the sandstorm itself, like the rest of the stack. And then if that one comes about, then it's good to go.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
I think that sounds perfect. It's very like how you would set up like for Settlers of Catan or something like that, like a more traditional board game.
I mean, that's a pure, absolute motivation behind it.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
No, and I think that sounds
Settlers.
cool. And it makes, and if this is something you don't do all the time with your players, it just makes this session feel different, feel special, feel very like, okay, there's a map here, we're traversing. And I think as a player, having that not happen all the time, but happen every now and again would make those sessions feel like special, like set apart.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about then. I think we've got a good structure, right? Like that's a good skeleton all the way around.
Yep.
So we've got our. Do you want to piggyback off of that other story that we did?
Oh,
and
yes.
sort of you. Okay, good. All right. So, and do we pick it up after maybe successful defense of the pyramid?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So then your guardian naga essentially, what's the thing that they need? Why do they need this item? What is this item? What do you think of?
I could see it could be something good that you have to take to a place to further cleanse the Yuan Ti and the spirit nagas like hold on like the desert or on the city, or it could be something evil that you've got to take and lock up somewhere else. Maybe there's like some kind of like sand pit that you can open up and throw something in, and it'll like lock it in like a cavern or a safe, or maybe you're just trying to get this artifact out of the desert or so far away. But you could go either of those two ways. Both ways, I think if it is this evil artifact that the Yuan Ti draw power from, there's more of a feeling of like we can't lose it. Like literally, if we lose it, like they're going to be right back at us with full strength. So I'd lean more that way, but what do you think?
I was looking through the DMG and I saw a mirror, and I didn't really look further into what the mirror was because I started creating my own ideas on it. I thought of the Guardian Naga actually being an ancient member of this society that had been trapped within the body of this Guardian Naga. Essentially, he had been turned into a Guardian Naga. And he comes to your players and says, I need, now that we have this all figured out, to gain my full strength back. My spirit's been trapped within this magically imbued mirror. And the only way that I can lead my people as one of them and stop being the snake and not always have to worry about this balance, to break this balance that I've always been stuck in, is to see myself within this mirror, and then my spirit will sort of set myself free, and he sort of sheds the snake skin and becomes that Egyptian leader of that town again.
Ooh,
and
I like that.
Rids it of it. Is that pretty good?
I like it. So you're saying you have to go somewhere and then find this mirror and bring it back, or?
Yes. And I love the idea that it's a mirror, because if you break the mirror, it sucks and it's over.
Yes.
And he's forever stuck in that.
Nope.
And I love
this.
the idea. I love the idea of the Guardian Naga shedding his skin, just like any snake would, right? But instead, it's like it peels away and he's this revered leader, and then people see him and they're like, oh my God, it's you. I can't believe it's you. And so I just love this. And it's a cool little story arc for the Guardian Naga.
For that character himself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I am saying that right? It's not the spirit. The spirit Naga is the bad boy, right?
Yeah, Spirit Naga is the bad one, and Guardian, I believe so. That's what I've been going off of.
While you talk, I will look that up.
Cool.
But yeah.
So this mirror, that then means we have to get this mirror from someplace. So the smuggling part of this mission doesn't necessarily take place until after, we arrive at a place.
The traversal.
So that means on this map, there would technically be two places we'd have to create that are maybe fixed locations. And that would be the place you get this mirror from, and then the place you take the mirror to. That way they don't end up accidentally too close to each other.
Yeah. So you'd have two final tiles, in other words, like your goal tiles. And one of them would be lair that holds the mirror, and then the other one is the town.
Yep.
That you left from, right? That's it?
Yep.
Cool.
Now, something with that mirror, too, I think if it's the mirror you're referring to, I'm not sure what it's called, but I know that there is a mirror in the DMG that works as like a kind of prison almost. You can trap up to 6 creatures, I think, in there. And then after that, you have to start releasing creatures from it, but you can't. I don't think you can tell what creatures are in there when you release them.
Well, see, that's like right in perfectly with what I'm talking about. Now, what are you thinking of, like releasing creatures where you go to something in there actually starts releasing creatures from it as a way to defend it?
That's what I was thinking. Yes, is like when you get there, you have to, like, so wherever you're at, which that's what I was thinking is if this isn't a place like a town, like if this is more of a like almost very Petra style, like carved into the side of a mountain, there's this like shrine that's like covered in sand, and when the wind blows it away, there is this mirror that like the moon is reflecting off of, and that light's hitting the ground, and you have to like walk up and release this mirror from this pedestal, but the only way to do that is by beating the spirit guardians that were set up, who are all like UNT hybrids. So you're fighting all of them at the same time, and then eventually you get the mirror and you're running. But when you start running with the mirror, that's when either this purple worm is unleashed, or that could be, maybe the purple worm's already out there. But I like this idea of once that mirror gets taken away, like you see like other UNT, like a bunch of them climbing off this cliff. So you hop back onto your horses or sand speeder or airship or whatever, and you start flying out of there knowing that you're being pursued. I don't know. What do you think?
Right. I love that. It's kind of like the trigger that you pull that initiates like the smuggling, the hardcore smuggling side of things, because like smuggling is like a two-part act for me. the first part is the locating and determining the location of the actual item that needed to be smuggled, and then the second part is actually the act of smuggling itself. And I think that they should have two very different levels of tension to them. I think one should be less. Well, I mean, obviously the danger that comes with the adventure of finding it should be, have some good tension. But what do you? I might be just rambling here too. But I found the item, by the way.
Well, okay. So another idea I thought of as you were rambling, as you were talking about smuggling specifically.
Yeah.
Sorry. What if we?
No, you're good.
So
you're right. That's all that matters.
What if instead of this being a thing where they go somewhere to get the mirror, what if they have to take the mirror to that spot that we just talked about, that whole enclave, carved in the side of the mountain, the moon shining on it? What if they have to take the mirror there because there's something about that shrine that will allow it to recapture this guardian Naga's spirit, or his full power or whatever, and then they have to take it back. That way you could have this whole smuggling this thing out of the city, because even if you kill the spirit Naga, or you push the Yuan-Ti off of the this pedestal they were on, the Yuan-Ti are all about shadow operatives and stuff like that. So there still is going to be this element of you having to get. I like the idea, like you were saying, smuggling is a two-part thing. It's the movement, but it's also the subterfuge, the people are asking questions. Hey, what's that? You get this feeling you're being watched. I think that could be a really cool thing to play out even at the beginning of the episode. Is you're in the middle of this big sprawling desert town, and you've got to figure out how to get this mirror out of the town, before you even start the quote-unquote dangerous part of the mission.
Okay, I like that. So you're always leaning on the smuggling aspect of this episode.
Yes,
we're always incorporating that, right? Because right now, half of the episode is searching, whereas it would be smuggling the whole time.
Yep.
Which I think is better. I think that's a way better way to go. By the way, the mirror is called the Mirror of Life Trading. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about the Mirror of Life Trading?
Yes, please.
When this 4-foot, first off, it's a wondrous item, and it's very rare. When this 4-foot tall mirror is viewed indirectly, the surface shows faint images of creatures. The mirror weighs 50 pounds and has an AC 11, 10 hit points, and vulnerability to bludgeoning damage. It shatters and is destroyed when reduced to 0 hit points. If the mirror is hanging on a vertical surface and you are within 5 feet of it, you can use an action to speak its command word and activate it. It remains activated until you use an action to speak the command word again. Any creature other than you that sees the reflection in it, in the activated mirror while within 30 feet of it, must succeed a charisma saving throw of DC 15 to avoid being trapped, along with anything it's wearing or carrying in one of the mirror's 12 extra dimensional cells. So I like the idea that so how do we know, how does the Guardian Naga already have this mirror? Or why do they already have this, and why hasn't he already spoken the command words already?
Well, I think it's that the Yuan-Ti had this mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Duh.
Yep.
Durr.
So the Yuan-Ti had this mirror, and now that the Guardian Naga has possession of it again, he can use it to take it to the shrine to kind of recapture his power or something like that. That's more of a kind of plot magic. It could be that when the moon shines on this mirror at the right spot, the right time, it fills up with this power, but maybe in it filling itself up with power at the shrine, it has to release all the prisoners in this interdimensional cell, which I think could be Yuan-Ti stuff. Now, hear me out. In Volo's Guide to Monsters, there is this Yuan-Ti they created called the Anathema, which is a huge monstrosity and is a challenge rating 12. It is essentially a giant. Picture a Hydra in your head. Picturing that? Mm-hmm. Okay, now yes, take those Hydra heads and put them on a giant kind of humanoid snake body. So it doesn't have feet, but it's got arms with these long claws, and it's this intelligent creature. I'm thinking when these interdimensional cells or whatever are released, they're all like these yuan-tis, and as their spirits are pushed out of the mirror, like they hit into this. Because I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about this enclave thing, this like carved into the stone shrine, I think that was created by the yuan-ti to trap this guardian naga's essence like a long time ago. And there's just these 6 snake heads overlooking it. And when the mirror releases these people in the mirror, like releases the people in the cells, these red spirits fly out of the mirror and hit into this mountainside, and like the rocks start to like crumble away, and the snake heads turn into actual snake heads, and this anathema comes out as like a last ditch effort to try and like stop the ritual. And that's kind of your point of like, okay, back to the sandstorm.
Yeah, exactly. I also, that's, again, then it prompts your players to do everything they can to protect the mirror. I think in that moment, say when you take them to the rune that actually sort of like starts the ritual and sort of activates the snake heads popping out and all that kind of stuff, like the Yuan-Ti Hydra is what I'm going to call it. Yeah. I forgot the name already.
Anathema.
Anathema. Anathema. Anathema. Anathema?
Yep.
But I like, from an optics side of things, for me, just a visualization, I like the idea of the faint ghostly white figure of the guardian naga's, spirit or like human self or whomever it may be, being within the mirror itself. And it's like, now it's a character that you can sort of speak to, and it's almost as if there's 2 different versions of himself existing until they become one. And so your players can sort of communicate. I know this breaks the rules of this specific item, because I don't think you can actually talk to this thing.
I think it's fine though. We don't have to use the exact rules for it, because I don't think this is an artifact that you necessarily want your players to, after the session, be like, okay, and here's your reward. I think it's more of this artifact allows this session to have that kind of feel that we want it to have.
Yeah, then it shatters as it, as his forms become one.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, okay, cool. So we've presented them with their seed to, okay, hey guys, I need your help. Take this mirror, go to this ritual site. Obviously, I can't carry it. I'm a snake. Got no hands. You take
I ain't got no
and
hands.
One of those first world problems about being a guardian naga. I got no hands, no opposable thumbs. Can't carry a mirror for the life of me. Yeah. So the Hydra, the anathema, pops up, and your players have now made their way back out, and we're using our tile method both ways, right? Like back, towards the end location and back.
Yeah.
Tile method is our traversal method.
Yep.
Tell me some things that you put inside those tiles.
Things I would put inside those tiles. I would put maybe one thing that could even be cool for this is to have even part of the city be tiles as well. That way you have to play through getting out of the city and then also getting out of the sandstorm, or getting out of the desert. Things I would maybe put in the actual desert part of things. So I saw this thing on the History Channel the other day. I don't know what to do with it, but something where there are, I think it's in the Sahara Desert, there's pools of water just from like rainwater being trapped and not being evaporated that are actually toxic to drink. They're just like full of like just not pollution, but just these chemicals and this runoff from the desert that would be deadly for creatures to drink. However, they are full of flies. These pools, like just shimmering with flies. So the flies will drink up the toxins and digest the water in themselves, and then birds would stop by and would kind of swoop through and eat the flies and be able to live. I don't know what that is in the D&D session. I just think it's a really cool idea. You could put this lunatic man there who's just eating flies, and he hasn't been able to get out of the desert, and he's just been living off of flies for forever.
Yep, that actually, and he just like, and then he like sees you, and he thinks it's just a mirage.
Exactly.
And then you see like bones littered about as well, and he's like a cannibal.
Yep.
I love that.
That whole fly
like
shrine too could be like a shrine to like a demon or something like that. And in a book I read, there's this really cool interaction with I think it was essentially a demon, where this swarm of flies would like fly around together or like land on somebody, and then the buzzing of their wings would create like the appearance of speech. And I'm like, that's a really cool thing I have to do sometime too.
Oh, that's really badass.
Isn't it?
What do you think about old? Yeah. What do you think about like old ruins too?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got to incorporate some cool old ruins. Maybe the skeleton warriors of an old Yuan-Ti tribe or something
Especially
like that.
because you could sprinkle some little hints about this anathema, and just give your players that little bit of like a reward if they like figure out this riddle. They can kind of know what's coming or know what's going to happen and be able to plan for it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for sure. Like you could like, if maybe one of your players did a perception check on the wall and they started to sort of read the old hieroglyphics, there's like some of the warlock spells actually give them the ability to read any language.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where this can come in handy.
Yeah, I love that. I said mirage earlier, but I think I didn't even think about to expand upon it. But mirages, those are, if you have, should there be a level of wear and tear that goes onto your players? Should we incorporate exhaustion mechanics into the traversal of the desert? If they are, say, for example, not prepared, each tile uses up one cantina of water. You know what I mean?
I think yes. I think we do for sure. But I think that that's also something then we have to add on to the city to make them feel like they are taking a risk on preparing. So maybe it could be that like there's these Yuan-Ti agents who are just overlooking all the water stations or water wells, and that you run the chance of being spotted by going to these wells. And the Yuan-Ti know that you are valuable, so they're looking for you. They might not know anything about the mirror, but they're looking for you for sure. So there's this tension of like, how much? Okay, we have like 2 days water, but we might be out in the desert for who knows how long, like a week. Are we going to risk trying to get more water and maybe being seen?
Right. I like that. I like the idea of thinking about, there's consequences for every action, even if it means that you're just preparing for the next mission.
Yep.
Yeah. Like right now in one of my games, I'm not providing that, but it's because I have a low level party that preparing for the mission itself is, half the battle for them. And so as they become stronger, that'll obviously be things that you should incorporate as a DM. But I think that's really good. That's a really good way to take that for sure.
What would you put in the desert?
Well, I was thinking about shrines as well, like giant, but like they're not actually like caverns or caves or anything. They're just visible shrines on the exterior. I like the idea of like a mirage being what would be an oasis, but it's when you show up, it's maybe something different, or it's not anything at all. Like in the movie, whenever they show the person like scooping their hand in the water, and then they're just throwing sand in their mouth, and I think that's something to incorporate. I think that there should be a role every tile movement for not an encounter, because I think that the tiles can represent your random encounters, but I think that there should be a role for the giant worm every tile. You know what? I'm thinking back to this map. Moves it.
Because I agree, there should be something for this purple worm, like a trigger or something like that. But I'm thinking, what if on this map, if you're doing tiles and these squares are fitting together, what if instead of it being, because I'm trying to think, if we're doing Sandstorm too, and this is a place that is plagued frequently by sandstorms, that means that people would map out safe spots to be able to rest when a sandstorm hits. So what if what's in the square is random, but where squares meet and like intersect, you put down certain, it could be just pennies that represent like safe spots, where your party can like stop or rest. It could be a cave, it could be a shrine, it could be an old ruin or whatever. And I think there's certain things that happen there as well, but getting from one to another, it's random what's going to happen.
So you're saying the randomization of the tiles themselves aren't random, but the actions in between are random.
Well, I think the tiles can still be random. I think so just imagine a grid, okay? Imagine a 4x4 grid. In the middle of the grid where the lines intersect, that is something that you put on top of the randomized grids, and you say, this is a safe spot. When you travel to the safe spot through one of these 4 squares, you can rest there during a sandstorm without like getting suffocated by sand and lost, essentially. And you can wait there.
Understood.
And just you have this general understanding of, we can see where the next, way shrine or safe spot or cave is, and plan our route, but we don't know what's going to happen in between there.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I see exactly what you're meaning, and so it gives them some progression feeling, and it also gives them sort of their safety net to jump to.
Exactly.
It's like the lily pads for them to jump from one to another, as well. What else could we put in that? So we got the purple worm, we've got shrines, and we've got old caverns, and we've got old sort of like caves and different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I think you could put some yuan T who are posing as just like traveling immigrants or something.
Like a traveling caravan,
exactly,
too, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
but they're secretly like
that.
yuan T agents. And I could even imagine like most of them being still very humanoid, but there's one who's like in this tent who's like really covered up, and they're like, oh, she's got like heat exhaustion or something like that, so we're keeping her covered up. And then if you choose like to rest with them or something like that, if they like get your guard down, then this one like reveals its form and it's attacking you at night. There's actually a yuan T called the Nightmare Speaker that can give nightmares.
Is that in the monster manual?
It's in Volo's Guide to Monsters.
See, see, right when I thought that I had all the books I needed, Rich, you go and you start using this one.
I'm so
and you're
sorry.
killing me.
I'm so sorry.
I was like, cool, spent $100, got me 2 books that'll be great for me.
I like Mordenkainen's more than Volo's. I'm sorry, but it's just the Volo's has the yuan T in it. But other things you could do is just an actual caravan where like somebody's selling.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. An actual caravan would be really cool to do as well.
Yeah.
Just to like have like he could sell water, they could sell supplies. Do you, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Mr. DM boy. Magical items. At this point, if they're going to be around like level 12, challenge level 12 kind of monsters, yuan T, magical items are going to be sort of prevalent within their world, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
To an extent. So, at that point, besides the mirror, is there anything that comes to mind that would be an interesting item maybe that we could incorporate, or something that you could find within one of these old ruins of an old place like this?
Ooh. Man, off the top of my mind, not necessarily. But I do think at this point there should for sure be some kind of magical items that you could give out or you could sell. Man, off the top of my head, not necessarily. But a really cool side quest could be having some kind of magical weapon, where if you go and you visit, maybe there's like way shrines, and then there's also like just normal caves you could stop at. And the way shrines are kind of harder to stop at. But if you stop at every single one, this like sword activates or something like that, and it becomes like a magical weapon of some sort.
I love that. It's like prerequisites that they could completely miss, but if they did it, it's like your Zelda sword pops out of a stone.
Exactly.
And there they go. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's something that obviously our DMs can figure out. But I just thought, maybe there's something to look into in that regards. Do you incorporate? So once does the Hydra or what is it? Anthara? Or rather, what is it called?
Anathema. Sorry.
Anathema. Does that thing chase your players back out of the cave, and to which extent does it do so, and how far?
Well, I think it chases them at least pretty far. Maybe you can only get like so far away, or maybe it's only alive for so long before like it crumbles. But I think it does have to give some amount of chase, which brings up the question: what are our players on as they're traveling through the desert?
Ooh, that's a really good question. part of me likes horses, just because it gives them more stuff to worry about because if a horse dies,
it makes you kind of have to stop.
Yeah,
I do like that. I do like that a lot.
Good. But then you said a skyship, and I was like, that's pretty amazing.
Well, there are skyships in D&D, and they are kind of pricey. But a skyship might get you there too fast. So I kind of like the idea of like an in between, like something that gets like, I know in my desert, I want it to feel kind of like trashy and very like Mad Max-ish, like not ideal. So people in the desert I'm doing right now travel around on like welded together pieces of metal called like sand skimmers, but they're pulled by giant centipedes.
Okay. Because it could be like in Breath of the Wild with Zelda and Legend of Zelda, and there's like you throw a rope around these monsters that they're like sand centipedes. They're not like centipedes exactly. They're the same breath, and he jumps on his shield and is like sort of like.
Oh wait, that's a thing in Breath of the Wild. Dang it!
Yeah, you can.
I thought I was so original.
Oh no! You're completely original.
No. Nintendo did it first.
We are all a culmination of everything we've ever experienced in our life. Everything that we experience is the same thing. Those people are the culminations of those things that they've experienced in their life. We are the most original things on this earth, each and every one of us. So do not I never get frustrated or mad when someone's like, oh man, it's exactly like this story. And it's like, cool. Then I guess I was on the same right path as that person because they were successful with that. And this is going to be a lot of fun to do. So, sorry, I got a little preachy there.
Thanks, Kim. I appreciate it. No, but so that's one thing. If you didn't want to worry about the horses having to die, I think the centipedes are a little bit more durable. But I like the idea of horses because it makes you. It's another reason why you have to stop at these caves. Because with an airship or with anything else, you might just be able to skip over everything.
Yeah, airship is no go. Airship is like cheat code.
Exactly.
It's warping from Zone 1 in Mario to Zone 8. It's like, no, we can't be doing that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the horses is definitely the way to go. Just because of the fact that it also gives your players some cool role-playing aspects of dealing with the horses themselves. Can you have some weird things? Do the horses get spooked? Can they run away? Do your players tie them off?
One of the encounters could even just be if
that you could sort of
if you don't watch enough at night, or if your player who's keeping watch doesn't do it well, like bandits could steal your horses, and then you kind of have to like track them down and find them. Or
you could also plant seeds in this story too, of other aspect, like other stories too.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a long-term campaign, you can incorporate. I like to. I'll give you an example. During my campaign right now, I've started to break away from the standard D&D stuff, and I'm starting to add some incorporation of my own stories. And one of which is the planar. I guess is the right term. Planar entity that my warlock chose, which is essentially a star, is built up of a essence of a bunch of like millions of people before her that also devoted their lives to this star.
That's cool.
And so she's essentially a part of that, right? And the star comes to her and tells her that they share the same essence and that they are the same thing and that they are one. And I like to introduce those during dream sequences. And so I think like sleeping underneath the stars, maybe the sandstorm dies down for the night or something like that, and you can see just billions of stars in the sky, and one gets brighter and brighter until dream sequence or something. I just think that there's like really cool, fun, interesting ways where you can make your players feel really, really engaged with the same, advancing the story.
Yeah, with like the rest of what's going on in this world. No, I agree for sure.
Yeah,
so
I think that's pretty awesome.
So one thing I have to bring up too, we've talked a lot about the Sandstorm, not a lot about the smuggling. From the aspect of like the espionage and getting out of the city. So let's think about that real quick. Going back to the idea of maybe there are some randomized tiles that are still a part of the city. There might not be as many, but just a few. What are some things when you think of smuggling in particular? What are things you have to do as a smuggler to make sure you're not getting caught? What are things you have to look out for as you're trying to make your way through a city.
Looking inconspicuous, but also not looking too inconspicuous is one thing. So it's like you can't wear a mask, but you can't show your face.
Yep.
And then it's also, how do we hide this 4-foot tall mirror that's not compact, and it's probably gold, and it probably has a bunch of jewels on it and stuff like that.
Yep.
How do we hide this item that gets out of there? So I think, do you let your players do? Here's like a thing that I've seen some DMs do where they go, describe to me how you get out.
Yeah.
And it's, they'll say the players can legitimately go, we see a cart and we take the mirror and put it inside the back of the cart, put a blanket over the cart itself, and 2 of us sit on the back and 2 of us sit on the front, and we cover our faces. And based off of that, you as the DM essentially create the difficulty contest for that, and you can tell them to make a stealth roll as a group, I guess. But that's what I would let them do, is like each of those tiles exiting the city, I'd ask them how they did it, maybe the first one, and then the second one I would provide them, there's a guard right here talking to this guy, now what happens?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
No, I think I think that's perfect. That's exactly the type of stuff I had in mind. Like is using those skill checks of like, what are you doing to get out of this particular instance? So I think that some things that pop into my head is, if this is coming specifically off of the last UNT thing we did, where they kind of saved this town, that means that they are recognizable to bad people, like the bad UNT searching them out, but also to the normal populace. So there could be instances where they're just kind of like trying to move through the city, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, hey, it's you're the guys who kick the UNT out or something like that, and all of a sudden like there's just this mass of people who's kind of putting you on a spotlight, and you're like, oh shoot, like who else is hearing that we're here right now? Maybe that's something your players take to their advantage, and as one person's moving along quietly with the mirror, you have your paladin who's like, ha ha, yes, it is me, here I am over here signing autographs.
And then you just have your other person with like a giant mirror in their hands, just Assassin's Creed, like just getting really physical with everybody.
Yep.
Did you notice that about Assassin's Creed, by the way? That guy just straight up you put your hands on everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like as you're walking through the crowd, you're just like, just
reaching through, touching
like,
everybody. Yep.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, excuse me. And he's like, I'm invisible. You can't see me.
You can't see me as I touch you. No, but
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but it's really true.
Oh man. Yeah, no, he's a messed up guy. Yeah, but see, our characters were they're a lot nicer about that kind of stuff. They're not going to do that.
True.
Shit, so.
True. They're not.
Yeah. I like that though, because it's each of those things is a presented opportunity for your players to have to think on their feet, but you're presenting them that, and then they get the opportunity to sort of make that random attempt at it.
And it gives them a little bit of like subterfuge, which I feel like sometimes can be, I really love those types of moments in D&D where it's not necessarily like, how are you going to beat these things with your brawn, but how are you going to solve this dilemma? So things like, hey, if you're going to get water, like it's probably pretty certain that someone will be there watching you. Maybe even just getting a map of the desert, like going to the place where you're going to find this map. Like you see somebody who's like eyeing you in the corner, and I love the idea of like coming out of a tavern, knowing that there was somebody eyeing you down in the tavern, just staring daggers at you, and then like leaving and seeing that same person like tailing you through the crowd, and seeing him like making motions to other people, and knowing like, oh shoot, we have to, and it's a busy street. So hopefully your players aren't just like, I cast fireball and also kill 20 people.
My leg!
Yeah, exactly. So you're just not creating like a war zone in the middle of this poor town.
Guys, I created a distraction. We got to get the hell out of here. Also, I killed your best friend. Sorry.
But I'm so sorry. But we've got to go now.
Yeah, we
even
gotta
like
get
getting
out
your
of here.
horses. Like if you rode horses here, like maybe there's like a bunch of like UNT who have like staked out the place. And it could be this really cool moment of like you hiding and somebody like whistling for your horses, and now it's like you're getting on your horses and running quickly. Just little things like that.
There's a little. I would honestly just think of a movie and how it looks when I do like those skill challenges like that. It's what looks amazing in a movie, and it's like crowd chase scene.
Yep,
that's always fun. go steal the horses and run away really fast. That's always fun. Like there's all those little different nuances. I think that's a really cool way to approach it. Now, what about while you're inside the desert? What about the smuggling aspects of that? Do you think that there should be certain aspects of protection of the mirror? Like, do you give the mirror, instead of 10 hit points, let it say that it has 5 hits total. Once it receives that 5th hit, it breaks. What do you think about, is that sort of like the way to punish or to provide them like the ability to protect that mirror more, make them think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And it makes it too where like every encounter, whether it's like, crazy fly man at the pool who is like, hey, what's in there? Is that a mirror? I haven't looked. And he's just like getting really crazy about this mirror. And you're like, dude, you got to like stay back. Or maybe it's with the whole caravan UNT or normal UNT, like something happens with this mirror or this purple worm comes and like you're trying not to drop the mirror. I think just that, putting that kind of pressure on keeping the mirror safe, I think is huge because it adds that element of it's not just sitting in someone's backpack. It's not just in your immune inventory slot. Like, no, this thing is different.
Yeah, it's a giant mirror. The Guardian Naga would have to tell the players the words to say for the ritual, right?
Yep.
But that also would activate that mirror for the time that they say it. Think about it like Beetlejuice, in the sense that if you say his name 3 times, he shows up. And so, say for example, there's like a person's about to hit the mirror, and your player screams out the whatever they're supposed to say. Well, that person's going to get sucked inside to that mirror. Whoever was about to hit it.
Yep.
But that opens the portal the other way too.
What if it
so
doesn't open the portal the other way until you get to the shrine?
Okay.
And what if the Guardian Naga kind of like lets you know, like, hey, this artifact I'm giving to you has been like tainted by the UNT. So feel free, not feel free. It's incredibly powerful. It'll trap whole entire beings, no matter how big or small, inside of it if you use this command word. Excuse me, had a little burp. However, know that what you're trapping this person into, because this mirror's been corrupted, is you are trapping it into like this plane of existence owned by the UNT, where that soul is going to be turned into a UNT. So so you could just throw some ho-hum bandit in there, but know that you're kind of like damning him, like.
Yeah.
So it gives that element of like, are we going to use this? Are we not? Some players aren't going to care, but that lets you have this fight where all these bandits are like, encircling your party, and you speak the command word, and a few of them look over and just vanish.
I like the idea though too that if you speak the command word and one of your own players is looking at it too, that they have to roll a save for it as well.
Oh yeah, yep. Like, you could give them advantage because they know they're not supposed to look at it, but it's still a risk.
Right. I just think it's going to be... I think that'd be interesting because, I mean, then what if you started to incorporate some, like, portions of being a UNT into one of the players itself? Obviously, it's something you would have to talk to the player about. You can't just, like...
force that on
You're now a snake person. Yeah, you are a snake boy now.
Hope you're okay with that.
Yeah. But... I think that'd be pretty cool. Like, say, for example, they get sucked in, and now your player's like, oh my God, we got to get him out too. Holy crap. And then when they get to the ritual site, that he makes his way out or she makes her way out, and then you ask him, like, what are the negative effects of this on you or something? I don't know. I think there's just a lot that could be sort of brought about from this thing, which is pretty cool to me.
I agree. I think this sounds like a really cool session. I love the idea of smuggling. I love the idea of like the sandstorm checkpoints you have to go through. Makes it very like you've got a plan to get there, but also like.
Did I hear you just say that you love the idea of smuggling?
Smuggling? Yeah. Come on, Han Solo and criminal.
We got our guy. Take the shot.
Take that shot. No. Yep. No, get away from me. Leave me. Oh, no, they're swarming the building. Sorry for everyone.
Rich,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this to you.
It was all a lie, Cam. It was all for nothing.
I'm actually part of the FBI. That's why you've never seen me. I'm a cop. Okay, so it's my turn for synopsis and your turn for summary, I believe.
All right. Well, hey, let me give you guys a quick summary on what happened during this episode. So, this episode follows a previous episode where your party has actually liberated a large desert town from a yuan-ti cult that was oppressing it. Now that the cult is dismissed, like a student who needed to go to the bathroom because I could only think of the word dismissed. Now that the cult has been dealt with, the guardian Naga, who's now the watchful protector of this town, wants you to take a mirror to a shrine located out in the desert to kind of recharge his full essence so he can keep this town safe like for a long period of time. However, getting even out of the city while yuan-ti's sleeper agents are watching and making your way through the desert will not be an easy feat, as there might be yuan-ti agents in the deserts or at shrines waiting for you, a purple worm that might pop out at any point to eat you and your party, or just even some caravan folks and bandits who are just thinking you're ho-hum people traveling through and try to take you out. Once you get the mirror to the shrine, it activates a last-ditch effort by the yuan-ti to keep this guardian Naga from its full strength, where a large anathema, a yuan-ti huge monstrosity creature, comes out of the shrine and chases your party for some time. Thinking the cool horseback battle scene could be, some of you play out there. But eventually they make their way back through the city, maybe with another smuggling effort or two. And afterwards, restore the guardian Naga to full strength. Cam, did that give you time to think of your synopsis?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Flyboy.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you were expecting that.
I was not, so I'm curious to see what this is.
Yeah. Your party has... let me start over. Your party has been making their way through the desert, and as they have, there's been many different things that have come in their way, whether it be a roving band of bandits that are based around the yuan-ti and how they've been attacked a few times, and then you've also got this caravan that they came about that was actually a sleeper cell for yuan-ti. But they finally see in the distance maybe a bit of reprieve. They see a small collection of water off in the distance, and as they approach, it shimmers like silver as the sun beams off of it. The sandstorm seems to have settled down around this location, and everything seems calm for the moment. But as they approach the water, they come over the hill, and a pungent smell of sickness and death sort of approaches them, and they start to gain this sort of uneasy feeling, this nauseous feeling, as they gaze down upon this river. They see a sort of a man, very, very frail, skin and bones, skin that has been charred by this beating sun above, scooping handfuls of a murky black substance out of the water and just eating it, just bite by bite, as he turns and looks up and he goes, "New friends, are you hungry too?" As he holds out a handful of flies, as you see that the water itself has actually been covered in bacteria and just disgusting poo water, and he holds out his hand and he says, are you not hungry? What's that?" As he looks into the back of your cart to see a mirror, and he says, "Beautiful gold. Haven't seen my face in years. Do you mind if I take a look?" And then that's the end.
Ooh, I like that. I like your ability to play that kind of like teetering on the edge of being mentally insane. Cam, do you have,
I'm not a great storyteller, but I am. But don't judge me.
But don't judge me, okay?
It's 2018. Yeah, it's 2018.
There'll be no judgment from me.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just like to. I love doing random voices. Maybe the storytelling aspects of it are a lot of fun, but I love getting excessively visual with my players, and so I use hand motions and I do crazy eyes and stuff, and they seem to react well to it. So, so far, I will continue to do so.
Yeah, that makes like characters like that come alive. So I like. even just hearing you do the character in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can totally like. I'm picturing the guy like kind of peppery gray beard, like bald on the top of his head, but like still hair on the sides, just like wearing a brown like ripped up clothes.
Yeah. And like just flies in these teeth, like just flies and like gross.
I'm kind of picturing, you ever watch the animated Atlantis movie?
The what?
The Disney movie.
I lost you there.
The Atlantis movie.
You've told me about this. Sarah actually, I'm going to watch it now. I'll watch it right after this.
I thought it was really good.
Because I have to.
No,
seriously. She thinks it is too.
There's a character on there. I think his name's Pops. He's the cook. I picture him, but just with like flies. Okay. The flies out of the teeth thing. That just, blah. Yeah. An image I did not want.
Yeah, that was a fun episode though, man. That was a lot of fun. I love that I personally am a big fan. I know that a lot of you out there are fans of the horror side of things, but for me, I'm a big fan of like the sort of sweeping adventures types of things, like more of like the Indiana Jones feel to it. That these two adventures that we've combined now have a very significant feel to that, and I would love this. So this is one I would definitely play.
Sweet. Yeah, well, Cam, if anybody's out there and they want to kind of keep up with us on social media or join our Discord, where should we send them?
So we've got some new stuff that I incorporated here recently that should make your trips around the world of filling in the gaps a little bit easier. If you head over to our Twitter page, you will find that I have multiple links to each of the Instagrams, not each of the Instagrams, each of the social medias. Yes, we have 47 Instagrams. I hope you don't mind. That's all of our followers. So, no, you can follow us on each of those different sites. Twitter is by far one of our fastest ways to do it, but you can also go through our Reddit, each of which are at Filling in the Gaps. Relatively simple to find, but once you get there, we do have a How to Find Us Elsewhere page that will link you to our YouTube, to our Instagram, to our Twitter, to our Discord, which our Discord's a lot of fun. I really encourage any of you listeners that have taken the time to sort of listen to these stories. I really encourage you to hop onto the Discord. We have a great time out there, and we are just constantly talking about stories. We're constantly workshopping. I'll give you an example this week. One of our listeners actually sort of prompted and said, look, hey, these are the notes that I take. How do y'all take notes as DMs? And I think those kind of things are super valuable to new and old DMs alike. And I think that it's a really great thing. But yeah, that's how you can find us.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. We hope to see you somewhere on social media. And if you guys, as always, have any recommendations for a theme or a scenario that we could use in our next episode, we'd love to hear suggestions. Reach out to us on social media with that suggestion. But as always, we hope that the ideas that came out during this episode will help you guys fill in the gaps during your next game night. Have a good one, guys.
Man, when you dunk an ending like that, it just gets me so happy. I love it.